Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Ronnie O'Sullivan Show. Coming up, we'll hear from the 5-time world champion ahead of the Shanghai Masters.
I've played some of my best snooker the last 3 years, which has been so good for me.
We find out just what goes into the making of a snooker cue. Plus, Ronnie goes to meet the boss as he catches up with world snooker chief Barry Hearn.
Ability plus entertainment equals piles of dosh.
It's been 4 months since Ronnie lost in the final of the World Championship to Mark Selby, and just a few weeks ago he played his first tournament of the year, the Paul Hunter Classic. With the Shanghai Masters just around the corner, Andy Goldstein popped over to Ronnie's London flat to get the lowdown on the new season.
Good lad. Take a view.
You all right, Andy?
Lots to talk about. So, new season underway. Shanghai Masters around the corner. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's been a long little break off since the World Championship. I haven't picked my cue up really since then, so it's been 3 months. So probably going to go in there a bit rusty, but as long as I keep my eye on the bigger picture, which is obviously doing well through the season, you know, the UK, the Masters and the World Championships, they're the kind of 3 major tournaments that you kind of measure yourself at the end of your career. So I'm just looking at it as a good start for me to get back into playing again.
Is there a different hunger now for you? You're 38 years old, going into another season of snooker compared to maybe when you were 20, 21?
I think the hunger's always the same. You know, once you're a competitor, you like to win, you like to always compete. But I think I have a different perspective on it now. Whereas years ago, where I just had snooker just to live and breathe, then it just became about trying to do well in every tournament, trying to dominate, trying to be the best you can be. And but nowadays, obviously, I start to think, well, I've got other things that I like to do and other responsibilities, and trying to be that type of animal, if you like, it just isn't possible. I'd probably drive myself insane if I was trying to be a good dad, fit my running in, see some friends, play snooker. It can be quite difficult. So I have a different perspective on it now, whereas I kind of think, well, as long as there's parts of the season where I can gear up for it and get into a good flow, then, if I have to back off a bit for certain reasons, then, not to be too hard on myself.
Looking back at the World Championship, we'll talk World Championship. Are you over it now? Can we talk about it?
Yeah. I was over it as soon as it was over, to be fair.
Well, I mean, it was a strange old final because you were leading for most of it, certainly over the first day. You missed, I think, a relatively, what I would consider, easy black for you in the middle, which would have given you a big old lead. I won't ask why you missed it and what went wrong, but... did it surprise you, the result in the end, when you look back? Was there ever a moment where you thought, I was in control of that final for quite a lot? Do you now look back at that and think, wow, how did I not win a 6-world title?
When I was 10-5 up, I was 8-5 up, and I played 2 really good frames, and I thought, as long as if I can find that form in spells through the rest of this match, I'm going to be all right, because it was like one visit snooker, broke off, made 100, a couple of safeties, made an 80, and I thought, that's... I might lose a lot of the close frames, I might get ground down a bit, but as long as I can find that bit of form between, when it was 10-5 to the end of the match, then I thought I'll be all right. But like you said, I got in the next frame, put some good balls, and I missed a really easy black, and he cleared up to go 10-6, and then I thought, if I come out of this 10-7, and I think Mark's highest break after the first day was 34.
Yeah.
So to be 10-7 up when you should have really been at least 11-6, and then you're 10-7 and your opponent's break's been 34, highest break's been 34.
It's like me beating you, isn't it?
Well, yeah, in a way, yeah. You start to think, well, why ain't I a lot further ahead? And so to be fair, at 10-7, I weren't happy.
That was the big frame, because that was, of course, the end of the night session.
Yeah.
That was the big frame, the 10-7 or 11-6?
No, the big frame was 10-5, and I was in the balls and I missed a black off the spot. And from that moment onwards, I think the match just kind of ran away from me, really.
It's there! Yes. Mark Selby, the jester, has the last laugh at the Crucible.
Were you gutted when you lost?
It was hard afterwards, like 3 or 4 days after it sunk in. I thought I could have had a 6.
What
Is there anything I could have done?
I was going to say, what hit you the most? That you lost in the final, or you could have equalled Davis's record? Because I know...
Just disappointing losing. I thought 3 on the bounce would have been great, To win one's good, to win 2 on the bounce was fantastic, and to be in the final for the 3rd year running, you know, was something that was always my Achilles heel, was the consistency. So for me, that was a great chance to maybe put a good run together. And don't get me wrong, 2 was good, but to have done 3, you know, Hendry's done 5 on the bounce. I think Davis done 3, 4 on the bounce, and you just think if I could have put 3 or 4 on the bounce, that would have really, you know, pushed me near Hendry's record. It would have really meant something, you know. So, you know, I was a bit disappointed that, because I thought I had a chance to do it.
You're still 2 behind Stephen. Do you still fancy it? You were very keen on getting that record last time, because it was, I wouldn't say within touching distance, but it was certainly close, and the form you showed going into the World Championship, you would have thought, oh, I might just get a 6 and I'm 1 behind. You still fancy it? You still fancy the 6 and the 7?
Not really, no. I think that was my chance. I lost my chance then. If I'd have won 6, then I'd have thought, you know what, I've got another 3 genuine attempts at it, and, you know, probably a good chance to win another 1, possibly a good chance to win another 2. So that would have got me to 8. But to expect to win another 3 now onwards, I just don't. I mean, I'm being realistic, you know. There's no point sitting here, you know,
lying to me.
Yeah, lying, you know.
How many more you got left in you?
I like maybe 1. Maybe
Come
1.
on.
Well, no, I'm being genuine, you know. It's like, that was hard, that last one. I found it quite draining mentally. And
you said you were numb after.
Yeah, I was numb, mate. You know, I went from the afternoon session of the final, I just felt numb, you know. I just felt like you know, I tried so hard in that whole tournament to hold it together. I should have lost to Joe Perry. That was a big mammoth effort against Sean Murphy, although I won it comfortably. There was a stage where I just felt I was second best in a lot of areas, so you just thought, but it was only because Sean kind of made it easy for me that I kind of was able to win that match. And I think when it gets like that, you have to start being realistic about it, you know, and say, well, I can't keep relying on opponents to kind of make mistakes for me to win. So, you know, although, you know, the only thing I've got now is obviously experience, and I know that I can, you know, put a good run together. So, you know, I still know it's in the locker, but doing it consistently and at will is a different matter. And whether I can still do that or not, I don't know, you know. I'd like to think I can, but also you've got to be a bit realistic.
Got running, okay, you know, a way to escape. We know you like snooker, you're in love with the game. You got, you know, your kids are fantastic. Everything in your home life's brilliant. Yeah. You're in a good place. Everything's happy days.
I'm in a brilliant place, you know. I couldn't be in a better place. It's just like I say, it's just about enjoying it now, you know what I mean? And not being too hard on myself, just kind of just thinking, well, if I have a bad result, it's not the end of the world. No one's going to judge me by it, you know what I mean? It's sort of, you know, it's just a bad performance at the end of the day. So, you know, it's just about kind of just enjoying playing there and just having fun, really, you know, and that's what I've done for the last 3 years. And, you know, I've played some of my best snooker the last 3 years, which has been so good for me, because up until then I'd won tournaments, I'd done all right, you know, I'd done whatever, but I never really felt that I'd really played some good stuff. So for the last 3 years, I've played really well, you know what I mean? So, you know, if I can continue doing that, you know, I'm sure I'll hopefully play for a lot longer.
Be nice.
So, cheers, Aaron. Nice one. Cheers, mate.
Still to come on the Ronnie O'Sullivan Show, just how do you turn a piece of wood into a snooker cue? We'll have the answer after the break. For a snooker player, the cue is often described as an extension of their arm, which is why finding the right one is vitally important. Since turning professional, Ronnie's cue, like that of so many top pros, has been made by one man, John Paris. But just how is a snooker cue made? Ronnie went to find out.
John.
Hello, Ronnie.
How you doing?
Nice to see you.
You all right, mate?
Yeah, good.
Come down here today. Obviously, you're the man to do the cues. You do all the cues for the players. I know how important it is for snooker players to get the right cue. Yeah. So today I've come down here. I want you to show me around. Show us how it's done from start to finish, and I'm sure everyone else will be interested in how it's done as well.
Yeah, no problem. We can give you the tour.
Take us out the back,
through.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool.
Follow me.
Cheers. All right, John, so...
Well, this is how it starts off. I go to wood yards that have got mountains of timber, spend all day selecting through, and just come away with a small pile. This is ash. We do maple as well.
So obviously, when you're choosing wood, there's obviously a lot of wood to choose from? How do you know which is going to be something that's going to be what you're looking for? I mean, because to me that's just like a plank of wood.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's experience of picking it out, but you're looking for a straight grain, a nice clean piece of wood, no variation in colour, and it's just knowing what you're looking at when it's this stage that will make a good cue.
Okay, so now we've got the bit that you've cut
squares,
off from the plank.
Yeah, from the planks we cut it into squares, which then gives you a better idea what the whole thing's going to look like.
Yeah.
And from this, I then choose the best end, so which will give us the best end for the tip end. So obviously that's where you're going to be looking at the points. And from that, I decide where we're going to cut the cue out of this piece of wood. So it won't necessarily be the same off of both sides. I'll decide which way we're going to run to give a good look on the cue when it's finished. So from the square, we then take it to quite a large, oversized taper and round it off, obviously.
Yeah.
And that's sort of planed down by hand. And we keep turning that.
You can actually see the grain coming through.
Yeah. And as you can see, at that stage, the points start to develop.
Yeah.
And you can actually see where you're going then. But obviously, the smaller it gets, that will change. Okay, so we've now got the finished shaft into the final taper, and from that we do the hand splicing, which involves planing the shaft down on 4 sides, 2 at a time, and inlaying ebony or rosewood into that so that you get the added weight to the cue, but also the nice points shape of a spliced butt, and a smoother feel for the grip as well. Once it's gone down on 2 sides, it's then planed again, and you put the other sides on. Okay, so once all the ebony's glued on, it's then got to be taken down and rounded off, and you see the distinctive points coming back onto the cue then. So that's then planed down.
So is everything done by hand? Is there at any point
Pretty
that
much.
Machines are kind
Well,
of...
we use machines to do some roughing out and to put the joints in. Most of the lathes that you see are mainly for jointing, but a lot of the splicing is all done by hand. And as you do it, you just keep checking to make sure that it's carrying on sort of straight and you're not taking it too much one way or the other. Eventually, from there, it becomes the normal snooker size. Obviously, some of the others have that same operation done again with the decoration splicing. You probably recognise this design. This is the the most popular, famous design in the world because it looks the same as yours.
Yeah.
From finishing the bud off, we then cut the cue off to length, whichever length's been ordered. Put a tenon on there, and then we fit the brass ferrule.
Why do people need ferrule? I mean, I remember in the old days, some people just used to stick their tip on the end of a bit of wood.
A bit like splitting logs. I mean, when you think of the impact constantly hitting balls on there, it'd be quite easy for that to then sort of spread and open up. So the ferrule just protects the top of the cue. So, okay, once the cue's finally sanded and it's nice and smooth, we then apply a grain filler to that, which obviously makes it slightly smoother because it fills the grain in, but it also enhances the colours out of the grain. So we put that on, leave it to set, and then sand it off again. Then we level the top of the ferrule off, which is important to get that nice and flat. A good glue and 2 perfect surfaces to go together. We always put an oversized tip on, and then we trim that down. Okay, so once that's
been chopped down now,
once
so
that's
we're kind of
trimmed in,
flush.
we get it to that, and then with a file, we just start to give that a rough dome, and it's just take the edges away, and then gradually you work into a sort of a rocking motion from the centre to the outside, so that you're coming across, and that takes quite a while to get that down, but eventually, you end up with something like this.
It's a nice, perfect dome there,
and then we finish it off with a tip shaper, a piece of sort of sandpaper in a tip shaper. From that you get that nice and smooth around the edge, nice dome. And,
Perfect.
ready to
Nice
go.
tip, nice tip like that.
World Championship, hear that?
Yeah, could be. I like that.
Still to come in part 3, Ronnie heads to Essex to catch up with snooker's main man, Barry Hearn.
Nothing compares to that feeling in 1989. That was us saying we've made this journey and now we're going to smash it right up.
When it comes to snooker's history, Barry Hearn remains firmly at the core. As a promoter, he was at the very heart of the boom in the 1980s, and in the 90s, he became the manager of a certain Ronnie O'Sullivan when he turned professional. Now the chairman of the game's governing body, Hearn invited the Rocket down to his offices in Essex to talk about all things snooker.
Thanks, Barry, for coming, talking to us.
It's a pleasure, Ron. Always a pleasure, mate.
Always, obviously, like, you know, growing up as a snooker fan, watching Steve Davis in the 80s, he was like my hero, and obviously, like, you was the manager promoting all the players and that. So I just want to know a little bit about the early days, because obviously I've heard all the stories, but obviously it would sound better coming from you.
I think looking back, I had 40 years now of promoting snooker since 1974, and looking back on the early days, I have to say they were probably my happiest days because it was all such a new world, you know, new boundaries. In those days, I suppose we really started off as a bit of a hustler, you know. Had this tall ginger kid with no personality at all, but who could play, the Nugget. So Harry got his nickname, the Nugget, from Romford because everyone had their case 50 quids on him and fivers and tenors. They were getting a living out of backing Steve Davis. And Steve just wanted to play, so he was dead easy. So we come to this deal in the early 70s. Look, no one knows you. You know, you're a quiet lad. I'll pay you 25 quid a night, plus a bonus on the gambling, and we'll go all around the country. And, you know, looking back on it, it was just the wildest days. And you'd turn up at Leeds and there'd be 300 supporters for John Virgo, say. And they didn't know who Davis was, so they'd give him a 10 start. And then I'd take all the money in the place on behalf of the Romford Raw.
Romford Raw, that's right. Yeah.
And we'd end up 3 o'clock in the morning, might have a bit of trouble in the car park. We got paid eventually, you know, and we just laugh all the way. That's how I remember the early days. All I remember is laughing, having a great time. And Steve didn't care because he just wanted to learn the game.
When was that point when you thought, I've got someone special on my hands here?
You know, I'd love to tell you it was early, but it wasn't, because as you know, I mean, my snooker ability could be written on the back of a packet of matches, you know. I knew he had something special in terms of concentration and desire, and he never opened his mouth. He had no personality at all. Very shy, very nervous boy. But once he was on the table, that was his opportunity to express himself at something, you know. From 75 to 78, I started realising this could be special, and then, you know, I just started banging the drum. I got the best player in the world, we're going to kill everybody, this is all over for the establishment, and they hated us. And I think about 78, I think Steve was playing in the British Team Championships. We were in Blackpool, and I said to him, son, I think you should turn pro. And his dad said, no, let's go, we want to win the World Amateur first. I said, waste of time, you can't eat medals. I said, this kid is going to be the next world champion, blah, blah, blah. And we signed our only contract we ever had, we signed up against a lamppost in 1978 in Blackpool. And of course, it didn't come as easy after that because it is a tough game to master. But that was the time. From 78, I thought I'd got something really special here.
And you talk about the establishment, because I remember when you signed me up, I was 16 at the time of when I was meant to turn pro, but my birthday fell short of the closing date. I've never ever told this story to anyone, but I just thought I'd tell you because I always wanted to ask you, did you think there was a problem with the establishment? I remember playing in Pot Black and I was 15, and you had all of the board members there, and I remember standing behind a curtain just to wait before I was about to go out, and one of the people there that was part of the establishment said, if it wasn't for Barry, you would have turned pro. He said, it's only because of Barry that they're not letting you in. And I looked like that and I was like, really?
No, they hated me. I mean, it was partially my fault as well, because I'm not exactly shy and retiring. I was pushing their face in it. I was so much better than them at doing their job. And it takes a big man to appreciate that they're second best. And then, of course, signing the prodigy, you know, and it's like, And their first thought was, how can we get at Barry? And the easiest way was by not letting you turn pro.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is a family programme, so we can't tell the full story. But basically, I talked him into it in the end.
Just bringing it back now to the present, obviously, you've kind of now gone from battling the establishment, coming through the early days, promoting players, promoting tournaments all around the world. You're now ownership of snooker, where it all started.
Oh, no, I love it.
Did you ever think you'd be in that position where you'd one day?
No, I thought, I mean, after a while of all the opposition I was getting, in the end, even the best fighter after several hundred rounds says I've had enough. And I probably took that route because I was capable of doing so many other different sports and getting my pleasure from different things, predominantly the boxing, latterly the darts and whatever we're doing. And when the opportunity came, much later, you know, I thought, do I really... And I sat down with Steve and said, do I want to... You know, it's like going out with an old girlfriend you haven't seen for 40 years.
He was mad.
I know, you told me I was mad.
I mean, I backed you. I mean, I thought there was no one better for the sport. But at the time, I did think, I don't know what he's letting himself in for it.
I just felt there was lots of different things going through my mind at that time. I felt one, and I mean, I'm not as nice a person as this makes me sound, but I felt as if I owed the sport something. Secondly, I saw the opportunity in a commercial sense because the game was so poorly managed that even I, well, you know, on a bad day, I would look like a genius in comparison. So, and I like a little challenge, and sometimes it just comes up, you know, it's the right time and the right place. We know we've got a great game to play, but we have to present it properly.
In what way would you change the perception then of snooker? How would you start? I mean, do you think the players could probably do more to promote the game? Does that frustrate you?
It frustrates me enormously. We had a meeting with all the players some months ago, and I asked them, you weren't there because you're bad at going to meetings.
I wasn't invited.
You was always invited.
I love a meeting,
you just ignored it. we talk on TV, we don't have...
I'm going to be a board member soon, you do know that.
Yeah,
I'm going to give you all your great ideas.
I can't wait for that day to come.
You'll love me for it.
I love you. I love you anyway.
The players will hate me.
Yeah. The difference is, we had a meeting with the players and I asked them a very simple question. How many of you guys signed an autograph on the way here? Put your hands up. No hands went up. I said, that's because you're not doing your job properly.
You're looking for characters, you're looking for people to express themselves, you're looking for players. Do you think there's that in snooker? I mean,
no, there's not enough of it. There's not enough of it. And there's a reticence amongst players to embarrass themselves. They look at it as if it's an embarrass themselves. And I say it's not. I don't expect you to come out dressed as a clown. I don't want you to punch someone in the face to be famous, but I want some more interaction. I want some more emotion. I want people to know that it means something to you. I want them to feel that they're part of the whole experience.
Do you think I could do more for the game?
Yes, of course. You're getting better.
Yeah.
Well, by playing more, but obviously we understand, you know, the freedom of the individual. You know, by actually putting yourself out a bit more sometimes for snooker. You see, you do for your career, but in a way, it's unfair that you should shoulder all the responsibility. That's not right. You need other people out there that... And I think, you know, there are some of them that are beginning to try, and I'm being overcritical. I'm saying in a perfect world. In a perfect world, I'd have 8 Ronnie O'Sullivans, all different, all slightly different, but with great ability on the table, and it's getting that mixture right of the ability on the table and the notoriety off the table. So the audience for snooker is not restricted to traditionalists, to people that have always watched it. It goes to a wider audience. You know, I'm sure Einstein would put this on a board somewhere and he'd say, ability plus entertainment equals piles of dosh.
Whenever they play the World Championships and they show past winners, and there's that moment when you come out, and Davis, I think, won it in 1981, the big Doug Mountjoy, and there's you come running out and you like rugby charge Davis.
I can't, do you know what, I get goosebumps even now when you say it. I mean, God's been very kind to me, Ronnie, as you know, and I've been involved in lots of big sporting events that have been fabulous fun. Some of them made loads of money, some of them have given me nights that I won't forget. Nothing, and I mean nothing, compares to that feeling in 1981. And I'm sitting in the audience, I can remember saying to myself, and my heart, I can feel my heart going, even thinking about it, is that, don't do anything stupid. Don't do any, and I kept saying to myself over and again, don't do anything stupid. And he gets down and prots the brown. He's perfect on the blue. Rolls through the blue, he's absolutely perfect on the pink. Don't do anything stupid. He pots the pink, I do something stupid. You know, it was like I came out of my own body. The relief of being right of being able to say, I told you so, being sticking, you know, when I was going like this to the crowd, that was us.
Yeah.
That was us saying, we've made this journey and now we're going to smash it right up. Life just deals you very strange angles to come from. If Davies hadn't walked into the Romford Snooker Centre in 1975, if I hadn't started promoting tiny small snooker events, he wouldn't have made the journey. And where would I have been? I could have run, you know, I think I'd have been okay, but I wouldn't have had the life and the fun. So I owe Davies more than I owe anybody, other than my family. And I hope in some ways that I've repaid that, you know, because he's been my pal for 38 years. And I'm 66 now, Ron.
Looking well.
I'm in shape, mate, but mentally I'm still buzzing every day of my life.
Barry, been brilliant talking to you. Thanks for taking the time, Rose.
Hey, you're good at this.
Cheers, Belle.
That's it for now, but be sure to stay tuned to Eurosport for all the action from the Shanghai Masters. We'll be back in a few months' time with more from the Rocket, but it's goodbye for now.